Hey, good morning everyone. Chad here with Earthworks again. We are at a customer's house that we did a landscaping job for 6 or 7 months ago. They're experiencing some issues with their turf in the backyard. So we're gonna go back there, take a look and see what they're dealing with and see what we can do. Come on. All right, here we are guys. So if we're back here, we're taking a look at the turf. What we have back here is Bermuda sod, actually to be more specific, Celebration Bermuda. And like I said a moment ago, we did this install about 6 or 7 months ago, and the customer isn't having us do like the maintenance and fertilization. They're handling the maintenance part themselves, and they have a different company that's been doing the fertilization. When you get here and you actually look at the turf, you can see it's good and green over here, and then it just looks like it's just not thriving. It's not real happy, here in the center, and they said it's just been kind of steadily declining. So the company that they have, has been doing their regular treatments and throwing everything that they can at it. That company has let the customer know that it's not a nutrition issue, right? They're doing everything they can on their end, and they're not seeing any response, so they think it's something other than nutrition. If you've watched any of the previous videos, when we talk about like the Command products and things like that, what I think we're dealing with here is something that is what we call like a non-responder, right? The company is doing exactly what we've experienced too in the past, where you keep pounding it with synthetics. You're not getting any response. You're putting out plenty of product, but nothing's really happening. That's what's taking place here. So this is when we want to, as opposed to just stopping there and saying, well, there's nothing more we can really do, right? Let's get in here and figure out what the issue is. And I think the first thing that we should do is work on just correcting the biology of the turf and the soil here. You do that stuff, then all of the product they've applied, which is currently nutrient locked and not doing anything, will then start to operate and work in the way that it's supposed to. So we're gonna go over here now. We're gonna look at a product that we have now. It's similar to like the Command that we've worked with in the past. The difference with this stuff is it is a product made by Wild Earth, and it's a granular. So the super cool thing with this is, as opposed to needing a machine to do a top dressing machine, you can just use a normal household lawn spreader. So let's get over here and take a look at it. All right, so what we have here is a granular form, similar to the Command. If you follow that at all of the same benefits, the beneficial bacteria and microbes, all of that stuff. But it makes it much easier to put out because you have these granulars and you could just simply put it in a spreader and put it out. Now this is a humic based product, and that fulvic acid, and it is coated with a seaweed and kelp to make the actual coating so that it slows down how fast it feeds everything. It's called a prill, but instead of a synthetic version, it's made from seaweed and kelp. So all of these things work together to slowly release all of the nutrients, nitrogen, everything else that the plants need, but also the beneficial bacteria, microbes, getting everything working the way that it was supposed to. We'll apply this part first with a granular over everything. One of these bags covers about 3,000 square feet. Here, this backyard, we're slightly under 4,000, so we'll use a little bit more than a bag on here. And then we will come over top with a liquid. This is a liquid. It's also from Wild Earth, and it is, it's all kinds of things ultimately, right? But you have, seaweed, kelp, and other things that we're kind of hitting at two things. It's very similar to these granules that we're gonna put out, but these granulars we're gonna put out, and it's gonna work its way down into the soil, help add to organics, and then feed the roots, and everything's gonna be brought up that way. And then this is foliar, so then we're gonna go over top so that the grass blades can actually soak it up in. So you're gonna get a much faster response from this. This is gonna come and be more of a steady feeding. You're gonna hit it both ways. So let's start applying this. Now, an important thing to remember on these is we don't start with every yard that does not look ideal with a soil test or a soil sample. If we soil tested every yard that we started that did not look good or did not look ideal, that is all we would do, is soil test yards. So we will typically start a property, unless it is just off the charts bad, and we will just get it on our program. After about 4 to 6 weeks on our program, we know the response that we should be seeing. If we're not seeing it at that time, then that's when we will take soil samples and get the soil tested and see if there are additional adjustments that we need to make. And so I'm just going to load up my second bag here. We won't have to use this whole thing, but while we're loading up this second bag, this is just a good time to mention, by using these type products and doing more, you know, of an organic thing that helps correct the biology of things, and then ultimately by doing one application of this, then you can lower, or we can lower what it is we put on the turf from a synthetic standpoint by about 1/3. And I can't think of a better time to mention it than with a river in my background, because we do a lot of work with the Riverkeepers, you know, here of Jacksonville. So it's just it's a great way to help lower the synthetics that we use, and then that will in turn lower, you know, runoffs and then things that negatively affect the river. So not only do you get a great jam out turf and, you know, great landscape, but it's better for the environment. So it's a win-win for sure. All right, now this is where we'll do the liquid portion, where we'll go over everything and do it foliarly. So we already did the granular, put all that out. Now we'll apply foliar. This is ABS from Wild Earth as well. The rate that you want to go on this is 2 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So here we're just on a little under 4,000, so we'll do just shy of 8 ounces for this. The cool thing with both of these products, actually I should mention, just when speaking with or about the Riverkeepers portion, when you apply these, like the granular for example, they work very well with the synthetic products that you can also use. So instead of, you know, people can sometimes be concerned, you know, will they have a negative effect on each other, but it's actually quite the opposite. So one thing that we'll put out, you know, as a nitrogen source on yards is something called urea. That is a liquid that we put out, and it is just inherently unstable, and you only get about a 20 to 30% absorption rate when you apply that to the turf. So the cool thing is when you use products like this, you apply it, and then you come back at a later date and you apply that urea, for example. It gets, you know, absorbed foliarly, and everything that doesn't can then be absorbed by those granular, and then that helps to just absorb it and then slowly release it over time. So you actually get a better absorption, more stable, and less runoff ultimately. All right guys, so we have wrapped up. We've done the granular application and we have done the liquid application, and we're going to let that, you know, soak in, let it do its thing, and then we'll be back next Saturday, one, to see the progress, you know, of what has taken place so far, and you know, that will kind of determine what the next step is, what it is we need to do. One thing that I did do that I did not discuss or didn't show you me actually doing it, is I just got access to the irrigation clock. That's something that we find a lot of times is an issue as well. It was pretty decent as far as how they had their irrigation set. I just changed one zone, this rotor zone, which is probably the biggest area that is stressing the most. It's a rotor zone, right? So it takes time for every time it goes back to get water on there. So the misters, you typically want to go 20-25 minutes, and for those rotors you want to go 40. So what they had it on was about 15 minutes, so it was low on there. It's been a little bit forgiving for it, you know, the last month or so, just because of the amount of rain that we've received. So I don't think it's a huge impact, but I did make that adjustment as well. So until next time guys.